recording off the
Recording in
Kathleen
progress.
in a little bit, along with the attendance report. If it's not tonight, it will be tomorrow. But before we get too far into this, I have a surprise announcement, and we have a special guest that has joined us today. So I really do appreciate it. I would like to introduce Janet. So Janet, if anybody can see you, I'm not sure, but Janet, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Janet Burnett, and I am new to the Book Creator team, but fresh from a technology innovation specialist role. So, just a few days ago, I was right where you are, and in the classrooms helping teachers um, use Book Creator to power up lessons that they were already teaching. So that's one of those things that I'm excited to be a part of.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to mute everybody here real quick just for the sake of background noise. And Janet, yes, Janet joined us on Monday. All right, so she is fresh on the team, and Janet is going to be one of our teacher success managers. So really excited that we now have 3 of us in a district, or 3 of us in the company. And with new stuff comes changes, and so Janet is actually going to be the teacher success manager for your school district. All right, so I am shifting more toward the colder weather. So yes, Janet comes in, she gets the South because she lives in the South. So it's all good. I live in the Northeast, so I get the Northeast and all the cold. But I'm excited that Janet's part of our team. She brings a wealth of knowledge and just a really nice energy. So really excited to have her on our team. For those of you that don't know me, my name is John Smith. I always say for real because, people don't really believe that my name is John Smith. It always causes problems. I am the iPod teacher on Twitter. So if you are on Twitter and you want to give me a follow, great. If you're not on Twitter or you just don't care, that's fine too. My wife doesn't follow me, so it's not going to offend me if you don't follow me. But I'm also johnsmith@bookcreator.com. All right. So if you do have any questions, after today, obviously you can reach out to Kathleen and her team. But if you have other questions or Kathleen can't answer them or something for some reason, then you can reach out to Janet and I both. We are always happy to help. So Janet's email is just janet@bookcreator.com. I just put that into, I put that into the waiting room. That didn't help. All right, there we go. Now it goes into the regular chat. So there's Janet's email. So if you do have any questions, you can reach out to her. My email is right there on the screen. Taught special ed for 12 years. I was a technology integration specialist for 7 years after that. And after 19 years of teaching, I am now in my 5th year as Book Creator Senior Teacher Success Manager. So lots of webinars, conferences, keynotes, school visits, basically anything I can do to help schools and districts best utilize their licenses. That's what I'm here for. I'm married. I've got 3 kids, 13, 10, and 6. You might be able to hear a 10 and 6-year-old giggling over in the background. If you do, my apologies. We'll get them to be quiet here real soon. I'm just teasing. After 7,000 webinars, I've just given up because, daddy's on a webinar means absolutely nothing to anybody at this point. But that's all right. So let's see what else. Oh, I love golf. Are there any golfers in this group? No. It's a big old head nod. Nope, not happening in this group either. I had one earlier today, and that was the first golfer that I've had in the last 10 webinars combined. So nobody likes to golf, but this one usually gets hands raised. Does anybody have a dirty car? All right, there's a hand. Yeah, there's some couple hands, some head nods. Nobody wants to really raise their hand that high for that one. The reason I ask, I know it's a really random question. On the side, I'm a certified auto detailer. All right. So yeah, pickleball. Yeah, that's popular too. Everybody's doing pickleball nowadays. But yeah, anyway, I'm a certified auto detailer. So if you have a dirty car and you want to come over here to Ohio, which is where I'm at, or come up to Ohio, which is where I'm at, then come see me. I'll be more than happy to detail that dirty ride. All right. All right. Well, we're going to get into it today. Just real quick in the chat window, I need to gauge the audience. What is everybody's expertise level with Book Creator? Are you down around a 0 or a 1, or are you all the way up around like 8, 9, 10, and you can do this session and I can go take a nap? Okay, zeros, lots of zeros. 1. All right, Beth's a golfer. Boom, bonus points. All right. Okay, so and then there's Kathleen in there. All right, I was like, ooh, an 8, and it's Kathleen. That I don't know if that necessarily counts, but we'll take it anyway. All right, so we've got a lot of zeros. So here's what we're going to do. All right, so today's session was really all about kind of like creating this idea of curiosity and creativity in the classroom. All right, so I'm going to kind of split it into two different sections. And it's a little bit different than some of the other webinars that we've done, with your district already. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to tell you a story. All right, I'm going to tell you a story about me. All right, and all of the kids who absolutely hated me. We're going to talk about that first. And then hopefully that story will inspire you to be kind of like, oh, wow, okay, cool. That sounds a lot like me. And then I'm going to show you what I did to fix it. All right. And then we're going to talk about Book Creator and we're going to talk about all the good stuff within Book Creator that we can within this hour. And if we can't get through all of it, then that's fine. Then we're going to talk about some other stuff or I'll give you some other resources that will help you. All right. So here we go. Story time. So get comfortable, get ready, and off we go. All right. So story time. Now, like every good story, my story has a start. And my story starts with these kids right here. All right, I know what you're thinking. He said they were really bad and they hated him, right? Like they look cute, they're smiling, they're laughing. They can't really be that bad. But don't let these kids fool you, all right? Because they had really big problems. And the biggest of which was that they just didn't care, all right? They didn't care about me, they didn't care about school, they didn't care about science and social studies, their friends, none of that, all right? My kids, this group of kids right here, they were the worst group of kids that I've ever had in my entire teaching career, all right? They were awful. They were actually like quite evil. All right. Now, I know what you're thinking. They don't look that bad, but well, I lied. These aren't even my kids. These are some random Google kids. I have no idea whose kids these are. But my kids look nothing like this. All right. They were never happy. They were never smiling. And like I said, they had big problems. But it was interesting to me because most of the problems that they had, like this idea, this belief that they just didn't care about things, um, it was kind of like a normal kind of hatred, right? Like when you say, "Hey, everybody, it's time to get out your math books," and kids are like, "Ugh," right? Like it was like most of it was that, but there was one aspect of class that became violent. All right, and that was when I asked them to write. All right, so anytime I mentioned writing, forget about it. All right. They were not interested. And more often than not, I had to try to back away from my kids because I was afraid I was going to get stabbed. All right. Because that was kind of the district, the kind of school building that I worked in. So it was not good. All right. And so I tried to figure out what I could do to help them. And I tried to realize, like, why is there such hatred towards writing? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that even as an adult, I didn't like to write. And so I thought, well, if I can help myself, then maybe I can help my kids. All right. And so I tried some cool writing prompts. Well, not I didn't try the cool ones at first. I went to the back of the book and there were some writing prompts at the end of the chapters or whatever. And I was like, oh, we'll try those. Kids are like, no thanks. So I was like, all right, we'll try something a little bit better, right? We'll try something special. And so I tried to come up with really fun writing prompts that I thought were cool. And every time I mentioned the writing prompt that I thought was cool, the kids are like, yeah, still not cool. Like not gonna do it. And so I kept trying to different things, over and over again. And I finally realized like maybe I'll try to go the gross route, right? So I remember going into class one day. I was like, "Hey guys, guess what we're gonna write?" And the kids are like, "No, we hate you." And I was like, "No, listen, it's cool because today we're gonna pretend like we're dogs." And the kids looked at me like, "What?" And I was like, "We're gonna pretend like we're dogs, right? We're gonna write about the day in the life of a dog. You wake up, you lick your butt. What happens next?" And the kids are like, "Ew, no." And they're like throwing up in the back of the classroom. And they're like, "No, no, no, we're not going to do this." I'm like, all right, back to the drawing board, right? And so I remember the next day happened to be National Pizza Day. And I was like, everybody likes pizza. I was like, this will be awesome, right? I was like, we'll talk about our favorite pizzas, our favorite crusts, our favorite toppings. Do we like it hot? Do we like it cold? Do we like local pizza, chain pizza, all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the kids are like, oh, yeah, Mr. Smith, we love pizza. And I was like, yes. And they're like, but we still hate you, so we're not going to do this. And I was like, here we go. And I see some of you smiling. You might have some of those kids too, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, how is this bad, right? Like, how is it this bad? We can't even write about pizza. So to be honest, I felt like this guy right here, right? I felt like a total failure. Felt like a knockout. And honestly, I just wanted to quit my job. All right, and this was pretty early on in my teaching career, right? Now, luckily, I didn't quit, right? I didn't quit my job. I did what every really good teacher in Ohio does. I went to the teacher store, right? And there it was. In the back left, ironically, over here next to the Advil, the holy grail of writing, 736 journal prompts, or 730 journal prompts, sorry, two for every day of the year, right? And I was like, this is it. This has to have the answers. And so I paid my $19.99. I ran out of there so excited. I went back to class the next day, as you can see, still pumped up about this book. And I took it to the class, and you know what they said? Not so happy, right? We got angry eye roll kid here. We've got angry Roger Federer down here at the bottom left for you tennis fans. Like, I was like, this is not good. They were like, no, we hate this. And believe it or not, I actually went through, I think I spent like 2 weeks. I don't know if I'm proud of this or ashamed of this, but I think I went like 2 whole weeks of class, just literally reading through all of the writing prompts to see if I could just get them to write about anything, right? And they were not curious about any of it. They didn't want to write about it. They didn't want to be creative. None of that. They were just like, nah, hard pass. So I struggled, all right, again, for quite a while, right? A few more years of this. And I realized that I needed extra help. And so I started going to conferences and I started to, watch things on YouTube in the early stages of YouTube, mostly conferences. And then I came up with what I believe to be 3 reasons why kids hate school. All right. Or in this case, why they hate writing, but more importantly, why they hate school. And number one is that these kids, they do all of this work in school, and then who gets to see it? You. That's it. The audience of one. Now, 10 or 11 years ago, when my story started with Book Creator, social media wasn't a thing, right? There was no YouTube. There was no like Instagram. There was no TikTok. I mean, maybe there was MySpace or something like that, but there was no like social media out there. But nowadays there is. And most of these kids have 10,000 YouTube followers before you even finish breakfast. And then they come to school, and the only person who gets to benefit from all of their work is you. And that's not okay, right? That's not good enough. Now, maybe the kids will take the work home and they'll stick it on the refrigerator and they have an audience of 3 or 4, but that's kind of it. I was like, okay, still not sure what to do, but that's cool. I got an idea. Number two, I realized that even now in 2023, but certainly not back in 2010, 2011, kids weren't collaborating, right, on things. They were, you know, teachers would put the desks in groups of 4 and they would say that they were collaborating or that was group work, but like that was it. They still weren't really talking to each other. And again, if you flash forward to now, 2023, these kids are collaborating all the time. If you don't believe me, again, go look at those YouTube videos. Go look at TikTok. Go look at Instagram. These kids are making stuff all over the place. Some of it's good, a lot of it's garbage, but they love this idea of working together and creating content. We're just not doing it in school. And then the third piece of this puzzle, and which the one that I believe is probably the most important, is that these kids, when they graduate high school or they graduate middle school, or for whatever reason in Ohio, we graduate kids from kindergarten, right? We use the word graduation like all the time. These kids leave school and we ask them what they left behind. And the answer is gum under the desk, leftover papers in a locker. Like, there is no work that's being left behind that's going to benefit somebody else. These kids do not have any legacy. It's just they do their thing, they leave, they're gone. We bring in the next batch of kids. That's it. And so I was like, okay, I've got these 3 things. And then you can only imagine more frustration because I had no idea what to do. I had no idea how to help these kids with these 3 ideas until one fateful day long, long ago. Now, I remember this because I'm old. Some of you might be old enough to remember this. Some of you, looking at the pictures here, are probably too young to remember this. But the original iPad came out back in 2010, right? The App Store didn't come out for another year, right? So in 2011, I was flipping through the App Store on my iPad, trying to find ways to help my kids. And I remember very vividly that all of the new apps came out on a Thursday. All right. That's when they came out. Always on a Thursday. And there were usually like 5 or 6. That was it. And I remember flipping through one Thursday and I was just like, fart app, burp app, map, book creator. And I was like, huh, I wonder what book creator is. And I downloaded it, I started playing with it because it looked interesting to me, and I fell in love, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is amazing. So I had this idea. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go into class. And I was like, hey guys, guess what? And they're like, oh gosh, here we go again. Right. I was like, no, listen, we're going to try something different. And the kids are like, yeah, no, we're not. And I was like, listen, I want you to stop your whining because today we are going to write a book. Now, you can only imagine the kids' faces, right? Because I already told you they didn't want to write anything. They barely wanted to write their name, and I'm talking about writing a book. So the faces look kind of like this, right? They weren't real excited. And I said, no, listen, there's more to the story. All right. Now, I have to do a side note. If anybody's laughing at this joke, then you're old like me. If you're not laughing at this, you're going to have to Google this. Okay. Google Billy Mays. All right. Because then you'll understand. I've given this talk to a group of college students. They have no clue about half the jokes that I say in here. So they've been Googling a lot. All right. So anyway, we've got Billy Mays here. So I said to the kids, I was like, but listen, there's more to the story. And they said, what's that? And I said, I have come to a realization. I said, I've realized that your writing is awful and it will probably never get any better. And the kids were like, wait, what? They did not expect that. And I said, yep. I said, so what we're going to do is we're going to take your garbage writing and we're going to publish it online for the entire world to see. And the kids were like, no, like, why? And I said, because I want the whole world to see how bad your writing is so that I don't feel alone anymore. I need some support, right? Like I need help in this. And they were like, and like, again, you could just see their face, right? Like they were like, how, what is he saying to us? And so then it was really interesting because I just kind of let that stew for a minute. And then one of the worst children that I've ever had in my entire teaching career, I'll call her Angela because that's what her name was. She said to me, she goes, Mr. Smith, wait a minute. If we're going to make a book for the world, don't you think we ought to make it good? And I was like, right? And I was like, oh, okay, what do you mean? Right? And she's like, I can see it, right? And we started having this discussion. And what we came to a realization of was that the reason they didn't like writing for me is because I was just their old fuddy-duddy teacher. And I had to read it because I got paid to read their work. But if I were to publish the books online and some random person from all over the world read their book, they did that because they wanted to. They were not getting paid. They didn't have to grade it. And so I was like, okay. And so I was like, this might actually work, right? And so the kids were pumped. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is going to work, right? And so we actually sat down and we did the same stuff that we do every day, but with a different lens. And so we talked about characters and settings and plot, right? And the kids were really excited. We took, curiosity and creativity. The kids are like thinking about other things. They're like, well, other than characters and settings, Mr. Smith, what other things are in stories, right? And I'm like, wait, we just talked about this last week, but now you're actually curious about it. Let's go, right? And so we started talking about all this stuff. But then we dropped the hammer. All right. Then we brought in Book Creator and we said, okay, now that we've got all this information about what makes a story a good story and what kind of things we need in it, I'm going to change your minds a little bit. I said, because a lot of times for my kids, when they opened up their book and they started flipping through the pages, they're hoping that there's something special on the other side that they could read. And guess what? There wasn't. It was just more text, right? They kept flipping and hoping and flipping and hoping. Nothing. Still stuff they couldn't read. But I told them, I was like, with Book Creator, it's different because look, we can talk about audience. Who's going to read it? Why are they going to read it? Why would they want to read it? We talked about design. So it's not just text. There's things like photos and video and audio and comics and other things we can put into a book. And the kids are like getting really excited. And then we had Michael, all right, Michael Eddy. And Michael was my biggest hater, all right, in the class by far. And Michael says to me, he goes, Mr. Smith. And I was like, uh-oh, here comes a fight, right? Like, we got to figure this out. And he goes, but Mr. Smith, he goes, listen, I'm really excited about this. All right, now Michael wouldn't write anything, all right? He would never write. And Michael goes, I'm really excited about this, Mr. Smith. I want to do this. And I was like, yes. And he goes, but, and I was like, I was about ready to bang my head on the table. He goes, but Mr. Smith, I still can't spell. I still can't type. I still don't know where the stupid keys are. What am I supposed to do? And I said, Michael, it's okay. I said, because neither do your teachers. I've seen their emails. They can't spell. They can't type. They don't know where the keys are either because they type like this all day long. And he started laughing. I said, but Michael, see that microphone right there? He goes, yep. I said, that means you can write with your face. And he was like, yeah, right on. Right. So, like, that was it. Right. So, that kind of became like our class motto, this idea of writing with your face. Right. So, it was really exciting to the kids. And so, we stopped, we collaborated, and we listened to each other. And after about 2 weeks, we ended up with a story. All right. I see a couple of people smirking. I see a couple of people who are kind of like, who is that guy on the screen? And some of you look like you're clearly Googling it. That is Vanilla Ice. All right. So, Ice, Ice, baby, stop, collaborate, and listen. So again, I'm old, whatever, it's okay. But that's what we did, right? And so we started trying to come up with ideas, right? What was the story going to be about? How are we going to, what kind of conflicts were we going to have? How are we going to resolve those conflicts into stories? And then after about 2 weeks, we had our finished book. And so I remember how excited the kids were when they finally finished it. We did the edits, everything was great. And I was like, okay, cool, this is fantastic, right? So I go out there, I'm on Twitter, I'm like, download our book, check it out, whatever. To be honest, I didn't even care if the kids read it or the people around the world read it. I just wanted them to download the book, right? So that I could prove a point. That was it. And so I remember back in the day when you used iPads, right, and you made a book in Book Creator, if you wanted to get that book anywhere, you had to put it in Apple's bookstore. That was it. It's the only way you could do it. There was no online publishing like there is now. And so I put it into Apple's bookstore. I think the requirements in that early stages were very, very low. And they published my book. All right. And so the very next day, I logged into Apple's system and I saw that we had 16 downloads of that book. And I was like, yes. Right. I was pumped. So I ran into class. I was like, guys, guess what? And they're like, what? And I was like, we had 16 downloads of the book last night. And the kids were like going crazy, right, around the room. And then a kid asked me a question that had serious impact on my teaching. All right. And this kid, he goes, Mr. Smith. I said, what's up? He goes, you said we had 16 downloads. I said, yes. He's like, can we go out in the hallway and graph that? And I was like, whoa, time out. I was like, that's math. Like, what we're writing stories. Why are we talking about graphing? It's because the kids made the connections, right? They saw that we had 16 downloads. And so they wanted to track it. How many downloads are we going to get tomorrow? How many downloads are we going to have in a month? How many downloads are we going to have in a year? When are we going to get to 1 million? Right. And I was like, pump the brakes. We've got 16. Right. But like the kids were so excited. Right. And then it opened up a whole nother curiosity kind of discussion like what makes a good graph? What kind of graph are we going to show? And so again, these kids are starting to put the pieces together, right? And all because somebody other than me got a chance to view their work. Now, up until this point, between the time that I was in the classroom and the time that I was a tech integrator, my students had written and published over 155 books just in Apple's bookstore. That doesn't even include what has happened since Book Creator has become available on the web. All right. And so, of those 155 books, we've had 300,000 downloads of those books. And of those 155 books, 89 of them were written by kindergarten kids. All right. So, anybody can do this. All right. All of you that are mentioning that you're down there around zero and you don't know much about Book Creator, anybody can do this. All right. Anybody. And so, the downloads are really cool, right? Because I can go out in the hallway, I can graph those, the kids can make predictions, kind of puts almost like a tangible sense to it, which is pretty cool. But it's more about the motivation because the kids are fully engaged at this point. They are ready to roll. And I also like to say that when I use the words engagement, I don't necessarily mean fun. Okay. I don't think engagement and fun are the same thing. Fun is different. Engagement means the kids are there. They're ready to soak in the information. Was this 2 week process of writing a book perfect and everybody was happy all the time? Absolutely not. but the kids were fully engaged in it because they wanted to see the outcome. And so when your kids are engaged, you can dump whatever you want inside their brain. All right. And so that's what happened here. And so it's really cool. And I think the other part of this puzzle is that Book Creator is really easy. So all of the people who've never used it before, this is not a tool that's going to take you 3 weeks to teach your kids how to use. All right. More often than not, and Janet can back me up on this, more often than not, I'm going to show kids Book Creator. The hardest part is going to be teaching them how to log in. Once they log in, I let them push buttons for like 20 minutes. And you know what happens? They figure it out. They're not going to break Book Creator. I just let them push buttons. I let them try things out. And then they start making the connections too, right, of how they can use Book Creator. So it's really easy. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to share some final thoughts before we move into the second part. And the first is that I think your kids need to be creating something. There's lots of stuff out there, but I like books. So whether it's books or something else, your kids need to be creating their learning, not just sucking down worksheets. All right. There's plenty of that. I know because after this webinar, guess who's on homework duty? And guess what comes home from my kids' school? Nothing but worksheets. All right. So it's awful, but your kids need to be creating something. Your kids need to be collaborating. They need to work together because if they're not doing it in school, they're doing it outside of school anyway. So why not take the love of working together and bring it into the classroom? And the same thing with sharing. All right. Now, your kids, if they're too young and they can't share, you can share for them because you know what's awesome about every single person on this planet? We all have a story. Doesn't matter if it's a good story or a bad story or an anywhere in between story. We all have a story and we all have a chance to put that into a book and share it. All right. And I'm telling you, sharing is really powerful because if we don't tell our story, somebody else is going to tell our story. All right. And more often than not, they don't do it the right way. All right. So I think this is very powerful. And I think Book Creator is really fantastic because you know what? Sticking to work on the refrigerator is not okay. All right. It stinks. Now, my wife and I actually got into a fight about this, and she won. Putting the work on the refrigerator is okay. You know why? Because I've got 3 kids. You know, it's on my refrigerator over there in that room, a dent right down at the bottom, a little chair, little 6-year-old chair level. No, student work. All right. We've got student work on the side of the microwave. We've got student work on the fridge. We've got it over here on the wall. That's okay. But with Book Creator, you can put your work on everybody's refrigerator. And I call that the global refrigerator. And I think that is more powerful than it is if you just put it on the fridge itself. All right, now this quote right here, I'll give you a chance to take a picture of it, screenshot it, write it down real fast, burn it into your memories. This quote has been my guiding light for like the last 11 years. All right, and I love everything about this quote. When children create for the world, they make it good. When children create only for their teachers, they make it good enough. And guess what? In 2023, good enough is not good enough. All right. We've got to get beyond good enough. All right. So thanks. Now, even the college kids got this joke. So hopefully you can pick up on that one too. And Janet, just for the record, if anybody else, a book creator, puts that into a book, don't let them for 1 second claim that they came up with that joke. That is all me. And I'm talking about Matthew specifically because he likes to claim that that's his. It's not. That's me. So anyway, moving right along. All right. Now, I'm going to just take a second or two. Are there any questions, thoughts, aha moments? Does anybody think that I've completely lost my mind? What's going on in your mind right now? Put it into the chat window. Let me know what you're thinking. Am I on the mark? Am I off the mark? Off my rocker, maybe? I don't even know. Let me know what you think in the chat, and then we will move into our next section. Yes, Kathleen and I have talked about this before, I believe, too. Homework, right? The whole idea of homework. And I think it was you, Kathleen, right? We were talking about homework and research and all this stuff. Yeah, it's just brutal. All right. Yeah, fighting a 9-year-old. Students deserve, right? Yeah, absolutely. They are brilliant. They've got a lot of good stuff in their brains. All right. Definitely
Hey,
engaged.
John. Oh,
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry. I was trying to catch you before you when you were stopping. Just a shout out because she put something in the chat. Shelly and I are presenting on Book Creator and what kids can do and create at our KISTE conference in Louisville in March.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so Shelly Barber, she's amazing. She's one of the district leaders for ELA. And yeah, so we both love it so much, and we love that students can create and they're brilliant. So I wanted to give her a little shout out.
Nice. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Good luck at your conference. And don't hesitate to reach out to Janet and I, because when you go to your conference, we can send you some swag that you can hand out at your sessions, and maybe even some promo codes or something like that. So we can.
Yes, I will. I'm really sad that about your news. I wondered when you started introducing her if that's what that meant, and I'm a little sad, but I'm sure Janet is amazing, and
Janet's amazing.
we'll work
I'm
great
here.
together.
Every time I send out one of those emails, people are like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Are you leaving book?" I'm not leaving. I'm still here. It's just that, somebody said I can't take over half the world by myself, right? And so, we have to start kind of spreading things out, spreading the love. But yeah, Janet's amazing. So, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help get you some stuff for that conference. All right. Okay. So going back into this, all right, from what I am gathering, all right, in the chat window, most of the people that are on here right now have little or no experience with Book Creator. I don't think I saw anything above a 1 except for Kathleen.
They
All
need to
right.
go back and watch your videos from the last few sessions. They've been
Yeah.
amazing. They'll get
Go
so
back and
much out
watch
of
those
those.
videos. So
Yes.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the book like I had wanted to do. All right. And at the same time, I'm going to kind of give a little bit more of a getting started at both. All right. So I'm going to do both. All right. But I want to specifically talk about how I think Book Creator is really fantastic at helping kids want to be curious and want to be creative because of its ease of use. All right. And I'm going to go at it from an accessibility standpoint. All right. So, from like when we think of accessibility, I think a lot of times we think of special ed, but accessibility can help all of us. All right. And so I'm going to kind of go at it that way. But before I do go into that, I do want to give you just a quick overview of some things that will definitely help you get started. All right. So when you sign up for Book Creator, if you've never used it, okay. Kathleen, my brain is mush right now. Clever or ClassLink or just Google?
Clever.
Okay, perfect. So when you go into Clever, you're going to see the Book Creator logo. You're going to sign in. It's going to automatically create you an account. And because you're in the district, it's going to automatically upgrade your account. All right. And so very easy. It's going to ask you a few questions when you first start. What do you teach? What grade level? Just answer the questions and jump through the hoops. And then eventually it's going to take you to a library that looks like this. All right. Now, in this library, we'll come back to it in a minute. At the top left, there are 3 black lines. All right. And if you click on those 3 black lines, it takes you to your teacher dashboard. And this is where all of your books and libraries are going to live. All right. And with the full version that you all have access to, you will get 1,000 books each, and you will get unlimited libraries. So you can make a library for every class. You can make a library for small groups, certain projects. You can make a library for every student if you wanted to, and make like a digital portfolio. I have a school district in New York. This was not on my bingo card, but I have um, oh yeah, sorry. I thought that was a question. I've got a group of teachers in New York, a school in New York that is using Book Creator for elementary report cards. And I was like, what? That was not on my radar, right, for 2023. And the reason that they decided to do it and the results that they're getting are amazing. And we're doing a webinar with them, I think, on January 17th. All right, we're doing a public webinar, and it is going to be awesome. All right, so definitely want you to kind of tune in, right, for that. All right. Oh, I love that question. Canva or Book Creator or both? And the answer is both. All right. And the reason why is because Canva loves Book Creator and we love Canva, and we have a really awesome integration. All right. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So in your teacher dashboard, there is a discover section, all right, which is filled with amazing ideas and resources. And from an English language arts perspective, Shelly, I heard your name mentioned. And so what we have here are some amazing student templates, including some amazing literacy templates. All right. And so everything from vowel teams and digraphs and rhyming words and actual alphabet letters that help your kids. So you can, and this is something you're going to have to kind of, you'll, for sake of time, you'll play on your own and learn, but you can actually make a copy of these books, edit them, and then assign them to your kids. And now they're like interactive notebooks and workbooks of sorts that kids can do in centers, or at home for homework or whatever. And it's a lot more fun and a lot more engaging than it is just to say, here's a piece of paper. All right. And I know this because I'm going to get real personal here for a second. So, my daughter, she's in first grade, and this year has been a little bit rough, right? To get started. She loved kindergarten. It's fantastic. Her teacher was amazing. First grade, things are a little different. And we didn't realize how different until about the end of the first 9 weeks when we get sent home a reading improvement plan. And we're like, what? Like, we had no idea, right? What? That really? She's struggling that much? And so we found out that she had been on intervention for like 4 or 5 weeks already. And we're like, this is kind of strange. We didn't know this. Like, I would think parents would want to know, right? You should tell them, especially since we've been emailing a teacher saying, how's everything in class? Anything we can do to help? And ghost town. So I reach out to Randy, our literacy specialist, and I was like, Randy, I need help, right? And right just then, this alphabet book gets finished. And so Randy gives me some ideas. She sends me these alphabet books, and she's like, just work on this with your daughter, do this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? I'm here to say that in the next 3 weeks, after we were told this during the meeting, she is now benchmarking beyond where she's supposed to be at the end of first grade. So again, I'm not saying this to sell this because it's just there. I'm saying it because it's true, right? It works. You want to say hi? Oh, there she is. All right. Okay. Nothing yet. Okay. So she's waiting for a friend, mom, to call so that she can go over to a friend's house. Not yet. All right. Sorry. I will tell you, I promise. Okay. Okay. So anyway, like I was like, this is really exciting, right? That it works. All right. There's a lot of great stuff in here. And because it's book creator, because it's fun, because it's engaging, your kids aren't going to fight you because they're like, this is cool. I like it. All right. So we've got some templates. We've got books by grade level. So if you don't teach kindergarten or first grade, there's a bunch of stuff in here for every grade level. We've got books written by our ambassadors, 5 Pillars of Literacy, Elementary Classroom, Supporting Language Learners, Science, Social Studies, Math, Librarians, you name it. We've got a book in there for you. And then we have books by subject, all right, which is my favorite because when you think of book creator, you think English language arts. And everybody else kind of looks around the room and they're like, well, we don't do that, right? We teach math. Anybody can use Book Creator. And here are wonderful libraries that explain how. Now, the last button I want to share with you is the certification. When you click on that, scroll past my really bad haircut. That's like a post-COVID haircut. Go over here on the left-hand side. There are 18 videos that will walk you through everything the Book Creator can do. Watch the videos, pass the quiz. You become a Book Creator certified author. You get a cool badge. You get a certificate of completion. Right? But more importantly, you get that deep, deep understanding of Book Creator. All right. Now, I'm a big fan of challenges, and I have a challenge for you. And I'm going to help you out here, Janet. All right. Because this was my challenge, but I'm going to pass it off on to you this time. We have a school district that I shall not mention, might be Janet's too, Kansas City Public Schools. All right. They had 300 teachers complete the certification in the first month that it went live 2 years ago. They are still at the top of the leaderboard, and I'm sick and tired of seeing them there. All right. Because they're not my school. Unfortunately, you're not my school either. So I'm going to pass this one off to Janet. But we want somebody other than Kansas City to be at the top of that leaderboard. And if you can get more than 300 teachers to do this certification, whether it's me or Janet, one of us will drive a trophy to your district and we'll stick it in a trophy case wherever that's at. All right. Now, I had one group of teachers, they're like, we don't work for trophies, we work for food. And I said, fine, I'll bring a pizza party. Right. And then they're like, no, we work for Panera. And I was like, time out. I was like, I might be senior teacher success, but I don't have senior teacher bank accounts. So I'm not buying Panera because like $10 mac and cheese for like a 2-ounce mac and cheese. I was like, we can bring some pizza, but we'll bring a trophy. All right. So one of the two of us will drive down and bring you a trophy if you can get Kansas City off that leaderboard. All
Hey,
right.
John, we have, let's see. So even better news, they can go to Vector and become a book creator certified author for 2 hours of PD credit. We got that approved. And since you started announcing this, we have 7 people already that have finished it, and we have 25 signed up. So we are going to beat them. I'm very competitive.
I like it.
I myself, now I'm certified. So, I just letting you know, teachers, you can get 2 hours of PD credit. It's in Vector. And you just can search for, I'll put it in the chat, become a book creator certified author. So
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love that.
so
And
now that you're leaving JCPS, we're gonna beat your next district, right,
here we
Janet?
go. Well, all right. So,
Yeah.
I've got a couple of good ones. So one of my other districts that
I
Janet's
mean, we're
getting.
pretty big, John.
What's that?
We're not scared.
We're a pretty large district, so good luck.
The world leader right now has 7,200 teachers with accounts, and they have 727,000 books made. So there's your benchmark, all right, for books made, but still be that certification, right? Get that one done. I'll be happy. All right. So now we're going to go in here. We're going to talk a little bit about some of Book Creator's features and how powerful this is. And again, I'm going to go at it from an accessibility lens. If you get a chance, all right, I really highly recommend going to YouTube and watching this video right here, The Myth of Average, okay? The whole idea about this video basically is that as teachers, we've got kids who are over here, we've got kids who are over here, and we've always struggled with, right, how to close that gap. And so the idea was, if we just teach to the middle, we teach to the average, then we're going to hit the most amount of kids. And through this guy's research, the truth is that you actually hit nobody because there is no such thing as average. And so if you try to teach to the middle, you are literally teaching to nothing, right? And so it was fascinating. Watch the video. But the point I want to bring across is this. In the video, he mentions specifically a kid named Billy. All right. And Billy is a below average reader. All right. So he's like 5th grader, below average reader, but he loves science. All right. But guess what? Doesn't matter, because in science class, the science book is written at or above grade level, and he struggles, and the teacher asks him questions that are in a box, and he doesn't know the answers because he can't read. So Billy looks like he doesn't understand science. Well, that's wrong. And so he keeps going on, and he says with technology, we don't have to teach to the middle. We can teach to everywhere, right? And if we do that, we're going to hit more students, and it's going to make a lot more impact. And he goes, think of Billy. He goes, Billy might have the cure for cancer in his mind, but we're never going to know, because first and foremost, science is a reading class. This is a powerful moment, right? If you ever want to watch a video that's going to give you like a gut check kind of moment, that's it. All right. So I love this video. So thinking about it this way, what I love about Book Creator is that it is almost self-differentiating. All right. So it does not matter who your kids are, what their ability levels are, what age they are. They will find ways in Book Creator to be successful. And we have some tools within Book Creator that are going to help with this. All right. We're going to start off with dictation. All right. So the plus button at the top is where you can add stuff into your book. The I button next to it is the inspector, allows you to change things. All right. So add things, change things. So dictation. All right. A couple things. Who benefits from it? Students who have poor keyboarding skills, students who have dysgraphia, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, students who have hand limitations, all right, dexterity problems. I don't even think about that. I didn't think about that until I had hand surgery 2 years ago, and I had a cast on my left hand for like 6 weeks, right? You don't realize how much you use your left hand until you can't use your left hand. And I couldn't type. And so, you know what I had to get good at real fast? Dictation. All right. And so I love dictation. And in Book Creator, I went too far. In Book Creator, you just simply click the plus button, you click the text box, you choose a style, and a text box pops up. And this is what I was showing you earlier. That was Michael Eddy's favorite. All right. Now, what I love about the dictation is that there's a drop down. So you can literally choose from 120 different languages, whatever you want to speak. So if you speak Swahili, click Swahili and hit the microphone and start speaking in Swahili. I say Swahili because I was in a school district locally, and apparently in Akron, Ohio, there is a huge Swahili movement, which I never would have guessed, right? So interesting fact, right? So you choose your language and then hit the microphone. click the microphone and start speaking in the language that you chose from the dropdown. And that's it. It understands me. Siri, she thinks I have a mouthful of marshmallows when I talk to her. Book Creator just gets it, and it puts it right there on a page, which is very fantastic. Now, you can do some edits right here. You can add bullets and numbers, strike throughs and superscripts and subscripts, accent marks. You can add math symbols in there if you want, and then you just hit done. All right, you move your text. You can click and put it wherever you want, and then you can click the inspector and change the size, the colors, the fonts, the backgrounds, all that good stuff that you want to change right then and there. All right, now while we're talking about helping all students, I'm going to change this text to John Smith real quick, and I'm going to show you 3 fonts. All right, I'm going to show you 3 fonts here. I'm going to show you an old font, a new font, and a dumb font. All right, you ready? All right, so here we go. Old font, Open Dyslexic. All right, great font for dyslexic students. It has something to do with the thickness of the letters, the angles, and all that stuff. It helps students with dyslexia better decode words. So think about that. Lexend doesn't look like much to me. All right, but guess what? Lexend has been scientifically proven to improve reading proficiency. So if you have kids who struggle with reading, I feel like everything should be written in Lexend at this point, right? Why not? And then my personal favorite, the one that I think is dumb, is called Cody Star. All right, I remember the first time I saw this font, I thought to myself, man, if a child wrote an entire paragraph like that, I would want to knock them straight out of the seat, right? Like, look how hideous that is. And then I was just about to say that on a webinar one time, and I was corrected because when you take this Cody Star and you combine it with something like our pen tool and maybe some cool magic ink, now we're teaching letter formations, right, for our young kids. And so I was like, oh, Cody Star isn't really the world's most hideous font, right? So it's actually pretty cool. All right, so something to think about. All right, similar, I don't know what, something is dinging and I'm not 100% sure what it is. Similar to dictation is voice search. All right, so we do have the ability in Book Creator to search for certain things by just simply using your voice. All right, there's 3 places that you're going to find it. Plus button, shapes, there's a search bar right here, and that allows you to search for icons. All right, so if I click the microphone, turtle, click the microphone again, all these turtle icons pop up. So I can search for icons to make my pages look better. In media, under images, I can use my microphone right there. Car. And now I can search for cars just by using my voice. So if you have kids who are too young to find images on their own, they can do it with their face, not a problem. And in the last place is under the More button, and it's Google Maps. You can literally speak or an address or a famous place or whatever, and it will go right in there. All right, so voice search. All right, captions, very, very powerful, all right, for your students. And so with captions, you can actually add a video to your book. It's going to give you a little countdown, a little orange here. Hey, Mr. Smith, today in class, you were talking about angles, and I could care less until you got home, and I realized there's a 90-degree angle right there between the ceiling and the wall. All right, and so what I love about the video itself is that it allows you to take whatever you learned in school and find it in the real world, right? So if you're curious about something, you can actually go videotape it, and you can talk about it and see how awesome that is. Once the video loads, though, you can click on the video, you can click inspector, and you can add captions. Now, for the sake of time, it's going to take a little bit for that to load. I'm not going to wait for it to load, but you can actually add captions in 120 languages, and captions have been proven to improve reading proficiency for struggling readers. So why not? Okay. And guess what? Since it's ready, if I click captions, I can generate them automatically or enter them manually. And the reason I love manually is because the video's in English. I can now add my captions in Spanish. And now I have English video, Spanish subtitles, and now my videos look like Netflix. All right. So again, your kids are going to be super excited about that. All right. So I love captions. And accurate captions are very important. They're great for some people, but they're essential, right, for others. And I think this is also very similar to captions, the audio transcript. So you can literally record your voice and then you can get a transcript to go with it. So when you click on the transcript, it literally just shows you the text that goes along with the audio. Why is that important? Because if I put an audio button into a book for somebody who has hearing impairments, that doesn't really help much. So if we put the transcript in there, now they can read what's going on with the audio button. I'm going to skip over this one for the time being. Basic gist is you can use your keyboard to navigate through Book Creator instead of using the trackpad, which is fine. This one is really cool. The pen tool, this is kind of a mic drop moment. Now, I can only see about like, I don't know, 12 or 13 or 14 of you on the screen right now. So if you're watching and you're not on camera right now, I need you in a seat. All right. And here's why. Because this is a mic drop moment and I do not need anybody passing out and falling over a chair. All right. So make sure you're in a seat. All right, first. Okay. Now I can see some of your faces. You're like, I saw, who was it? Was it, yeah, Kimberly? Kimberly was like, dude, it's a pen. Like, how exciting can it possibly be? All right, well, check this out. Click on the pen tool, click on the colors. You've got all these awesome colors. Guarantee your kids are going to go down here to the bottom where the magic ink is. Why? Glitter, 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 and rainbow glitter. That's all I got to say. All right, because your kids are going to find that, and that's all they're going to write in. Now we also have brushes. So we've got a marker, a brush, crayon, highlighter, pretty standard pens that do pretty standard pen type things, right? Which is cool. But my favorite pen of all is this one right here, which is the Auto Pen. And the reason I love the Auto Pen is because I am a terrible artist. And I'm going to draw for you a bicycle, which is actually not bad tonight, but still pretty hideous. Nobody's going to want to ride this bike, all right, to the park. But at the top of the screen, Auto Draw is trying to figure out what it is. Is it a tractor? It is not. Is it a pair of glasses? Maybe if I got hit in the face with a basketball, right? What is it? Oh, it's a bike. I see the bike that I want. I click on it and it fixes my bike and it actually makes it look like something that I would ride to the park. All right. So pretty cool. It's like baby AI. Okay. It's not like Terminator, Skynet, take over the world kind of stuff. This is baby AI that's like safe and happy for everybody. All right. While we're talking about curiosity and creativity and getting kids excited about learning and wanting to do more, I have to bring up my absolute favorite classroom buzzkill, and that is the PDF. All right. You ever want to watch a bunch of kids have their eyes roll into the back of their heads? You hand out a PDF, all right, to a group of kids, especially a group of kids who can't read. And then you'll see the kids' eyes roll back in their head and the teachers, because now the teacher knows they're going to have to read that PDF 75 times for 3 kids, right? That's me. That's me talking. That's special ed John Smith talking because I've been there. All right. So I'm going to show you one of my absolute favorite buttons now that I just completely dogged on PDFs. I'm going to show you my favorite button of all. New book. And instead of choosing a regular book, I can choose import PDF. Now, wait, John, you just said that PDFs are terrible. I agree. I hate them. But guess what? I can take those PDFs that I have that have probably some good information on them. I can bring it into Book Creator and turn it into a book. Now, if you're familiar with the SAMR model, this is total S on the SAMR model. All right. I did not do anything special at all. I took a PDF that I normally would have printed out and I brought it into Book Creator. So what? Well, at this point, so what? However, when I click the plus button and I click the record button, I'm going to record myself giving the directions. Spell out short vowel words. Write the missing vowel for each word below. Choose from A, E, I, O, U. Hit stop, use recording, and now I can put that audio button right there on top of the book, and the kids can listen to the audio as many times as they want. Do you think the kids like to raise their hand and tell you that they don't understand? Can you please read the direction for the 4th time? They do not, but they do it because they have to. Now the kids will have a sense of independence because they can sit there and click on it and listen to it as many times as they want. Doesn't matter. All right, but guess what? Gets even better. Click the PDF, click the pencil, and now I can write on top of that PDF. So if you want your kids to use some of that stuff like a digital notebook, fine, you can do that. And you can even click the eraser and get rid of the stuff you don't like the cat and the rat and the question at the bottom, which I thought was kind of lame, right? We can get rid of all this stuff that we don't like. All right. And now that we've gotten rid of it, I didn't do it just because I'm lazy and I want my kids to answer less questions. I did it because now I freed up space for things like video, audio, other emojis, other pictures, whatever, to help the kids understand their learning. Maybe if this is math homework, I put a little tutorial down there to help the parents, because I'm telling you right now, us parents, we understand the math that's coming home right now. Like it doesn't make any sense. All right. My daughter, my daughter in fourth grade is doing stuff I was doing in eighth grade, right? Geometry class. Like it's crazy. So if a teacher put a video on there telling me how to help my child, that would be even better, right? So I absolutely love the PDF import. All right, back to my book. We are running out of time, folks. All right. Last thing that I want to share with you. All right, that's what I thought it was. I'm going back to my book here. A lot of times, teachers want to make templates for their kids. I mentioned the good question, Kimberly. It will not read the worksheet right now. All right, and the reason it does not do that is because when we bring the worksheet, the PDF in, it actually turns it into an image. So we don't have a reader. I have put that into the feature request thing a lot of times, and I'm hoping our engineering team can find a way around that. We do have a read mode that will read the book to you. It just won't read the PDF. Okay, so we do have a read mode, yes. All right, now the last one I want to share with you, though, is our newest feature, just came out on Monday. All right, and this is it. If you want to make a copy of a book and you want your kids then to have their own copies of the book, all right, in the past, you'd had to have the kids click the book button and say copy book and hope that they put the book into the right library. Sometimes they didn't, right? Kids in English class puts the book into social studies and the English teacher gets mad because the assignment's not done. Well, guess what? All of that now means nothing. All right, because here it is. You make a template for your kids, an interactive notebook, an alphabet book, whatever the case may be. You click share and you click assign. And now, when you click assign and start assignment, any student that is currently in your library automatically gets a copy of that book that they can edit. Any student that comes in your library tomorrow because they were sick today, they automatically get a copy of that book. And any student that joins your library 3 weeks from now because they're a new student, they automatically get a copy of that book as well. All right, so very, very good. It's awesome. I can't wait. Kathleen, you don't use Canvas in your school district by chance, do you?
No, we have Google Classroom.
Okay, never mind then. Doesn't matter. All right. I was going to have another bit of good news for you, but it doesn't matter if you don't have Canvas. All right. So, last but not least, the last thing I want to share, excuse me, I'm going to kind of come full circle here. Share button, publish online. As I mentioned earlier, this is very powerful for your kids. You make it private or public, you allow remixing or not. All right. So, you have to make these decisions and then you publish your book online. Once that book is online, you can copy the link, copy the QR code, send it to moms, dads, aunts, uncles, parents, whoever you want within district privacy policies. And then you can get analytics and you can see how many times your book has been read and how many countries. And I'm telling you right now, there's nothing better than telling those kids who didn't want to be there in the first place that their books have been read 99 times in 17 different countries. You will see your students change right before your eyes. I promise. I lied. There's one more. I want to show you this book right here, Little Emma, written by a kindergarten student. And the reason I'm showing you this book is because it has been read 23,000 times. And if you don't think that little Kiara here is excited about her book and writing sequels and new books and things like that, you are wrong, because she is. And she cannot wait to make more books. And so will your kids. Don't forget to do the evaluation in Vector. Is anybody excited? Does anybody just want me to leave? A couple of you. It's all right. I'm almost done. Don't forget to fill out your form in Vector. And Kathleen, anything for the good of the order?
I don't think so. I think you covered it. Thanks so much, John. I
Thank
hope
you for
everyone
having
got
me.
something from this. And in the chat, I put our PD slide deck. So that has all of your previous sessions and recordings. So if you weren't able, sorry, I'm trying to paste it. If you weren't able to get enough today and you want more, that is there for you. And if you do not have your first and last name as it is in Vector, please email me so I can make sure we give you attendance. Otherwise, we'll see you next time for the next PD.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Thanks,
See you
Janet.
soon. Thank you. See you soon.